Okay, so here is practice quarterfinal question 4 in the applications. We got a ramp. Special thing about this ramp, it's leaning onto a building and we're given some information. It's 60 feet and we have an angle that is 14 degrees. Our goal is to find the height of the ramp. Now, what's special about this height of the ramp is we need to clearly draw like a right triangle. We can clearly see it right here. And so one of the things that we like to do is just draw it out, right? I think obviously when it comes to these problems, drawing it out will help. Anytime you think about a right triangle, one thing comes to mind: trigonometry. So in this case, we have part A. You want to find the height of the ramp. Technically, the height of the ramp, you have to ask yourself, well, clearly what is height? When you measure height for yourself, is it going from left to right, like this, or is it going up and down? Clearly, when you measure height, it's going up and down. So for our cases, we're going to find x, which is the up and down distance. You then want to label some other stuff, right? You have clearly here, that's 14 degrees. And then the 60-foot ramp, where is that going to go? Is it on the bottom? Not quite, because if you clearly see the visual and just realistically think for yourself, 60 would go here in the hypotenuse. Well, that's cool and all, I have this right triangle, but what's the point in this? Well, now that I've labeled what I need to know, as well as my right triangle, I'm going to use trigonometry. Again, SOHCAHTOA is all that we need to know. All we have to do now is label which is which. So in this case, for our triangle, I have x, I have 60, I have 14. X looks like it's away from 14 degrees. If it's away, we call that the up. So I'm going to label it as O. Well, 60 looks like the slanted or the longest side. So we call that H. I have O, I have H, so I'm going to look at my phrase. Bam! I have SOHCAHTOA. So I have the first one, which is sine. All I'm going to do then is that I'm just going to write sine of 14 equals x over 60. Okay, cool. Like that's great and all, but what am I going to do with that information? I need to solve for x. One thing you can do, and this is a trick that I like to do, I like to make sine over 1. One thing I immediately recognize when I have two fractions is cross multiply. So I'm just going to multiply 1 times x, giving me 1x equals 60 times sine of 14. So all I need to do now is just put that on my calculator. So I'm going to grab my calculator, put 60 times sine 14, giving me 14.52. And that's my answer. So I can say the height is 14.52 feet because I always have to mention my units. That's part A. But then part B, I am already given heights. So it's now asking us, what is my angle? So make sure that I'm probably going to draw another right triangle again. If my height, again, that's going up and down, is 15, I'm going to put it here on the left. My ramp is still my ramp, so I'm going to put 60. And then here is my angle, which I don't know because it's clearly asking me for it. I want to solve for the angle x. Again, what am I going to do with the right triangle? Label the sides. O and H. I'm still using sine, but since I don't know my angle, I'm just going to write sine x equals 15 over 60. But what am I going to do with that? Like, how do I make x alone? In order for us to find the angle, we have to do this thing that we call inverse. The way that we do that is like this. We write x equals sine, and to write the inverse of it, I write -1. Then I put it in parentheses, 15 over 60, and that would be my answer. So all I'm going to do is put it here in my calculator. Second sine 15 divided by 60. That gives me my final answer of my angle, 14.48 degrees. And that is my final answer. So if you notice this problem, it is a little bit complicated at first, especially because it's the word problem. One thing that I suggest is that you look at the right triangle and try identifying what you need to know. If it's talking about height, it's going up and down. If it's talking about how far something is, that goes left to right. Once you're able to label those different things, use trigonometry to solve for either the angle or for the missing length. But that's the end of the problem.